Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 21 of the Nav.it Files. Erin, how's it going today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited that it's almost the weekend.
Yes.
And
Oh
I
my goodness.
feel like every week after a holiday week, even though we didn't take MLK Day off, I feel like it's everybody's aura around me. It's like impacting my mental fortitude in this.
Mental status. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Like I had to get myself up at 6 a.m. So I knew that I would have like hours of calm and silence to get all the shit that I had to get done.
Mm,
And then I just stacked my afternoon of meetings.
of calls. You're making me be a little bit more mindful about which I had kind of started to notice in the last couple months of my cadence of creative brain function versus not. And I realized my dip is about now, like 2, 3 in the afternoon. Is like my cognitive brain functioning does not work as well. And then I get another kick, obviously, around 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So I think it's interesting. Yes, that's people's traditional like mindset shifts throughout the day, but it can also shift per day of the week, which is
And yes, and
so
you're
it
gonna
can
hit
be
that
like
I'm
you could
gonna
be
also
really productive at 2:30 on Tuesday. You know,
totally. Yeah. Yeah, I
uh,
mean it has to factor in like what you've done that day. Now that I am working out so much, I really feel good. So much better all the time.
I'm so pleased. I feel like
Like
I've had such a positive impact on your life.
like I was working out, but I was not like suffering working out. Like
Yeah,
it's a
you need to
it's a
suffer a
different
little bit. I mean, there was what was the it's
filter.
not Phil Knight, but it'll come to me. One of, the big 100
Yes.
CEOs of the world says that, I work out in the morning to get the hardest part of my day out of the way.
Oh, that's
Right? So
awesome.
the mindset, like
Yeah.
workability mindset is all
Yeah.
around tackling the hardest things first in your day.
Yeah.
Hence when I get up at 6 a.m. I was like, I know I need to write that weekly market report.
Yes.
I'm gonna do it at 6 a.m.
You get it over with.
Which
Yes.
ironically I was like, well, the market actually hasn't opened yet today, but I'll report on
We'll soon.
Thursday next week. It'll be fine.
That's
I
awesome.
can like watch it. I have like a market report like constantly streaming on my computer. And I've just
Oh
been
my
like,
God, that's
nope,
awesome.
okay, I'm still good. Nope, I'm still good.
It's still right. Yeah. I don't have to edit. That's awesome.
Anyway,
Um,
well, I'm really excited. We're going to bring it back to finances today. And since it's our end of the week episode, we're also going to dive into real talk. But I want to kick things off with kind of a fun hack strategy, call whatever you want out of it, around the value of brainstorming. And I think that this goes cross department. I like to talk about it because of the marketer in me, because it's traditionally where the brainstorm sesh falls. But I think it's cool to start talking about these more collaborative, free minded things in your work environment with your employees or your teammates in a virtual setting. Like, I think it's a really hard thing to do effectively.
yeah.
So, some tips. So we, for instance, do these brainstorms all the time, and we often go cross department just because of the size of our team, but it depends at whatever your scale is. Whoever needs to be on the call, or even whoever shows interest. Like I remember at one of the agencies I worked for, like we would have some members of the financial team actually sit in on the creative content brainstorms
Yeah.
because like they wanted to know what we were up to. They wanted to know
Yeah.
how they could talk about, the brands that we're promoting more
Yeah.
effectively. And what better way to do that than from the lens of your creative team, right?
Yeah.
So no matter what you need to get done, no matter what your brainstorm is, if you're starting a new brainstorm session, maybe it's cyclically, maybe you're doing it as a one-off, the most important thing I find and the most helpful is to outline the motivation behind the meeting
Mm,
and address the elephant in the room, which is often the KPIs and the intended outcomes of said brainstorm session, and do it like 48 hours before. So, create the Google Calendar invite, add everything you want to the notes, including your meeting agenda, and then
yeah.
blast it out to everybody. And this is maybe a little bit mean of me, but I put a direct personal ask in the beginning. So, for instance, I think it's really valuable as like in a virtual setting to be on video camera. So my first note was everybody has to be on video camera. Now you all know Erin did not comply.
That's so killer. I know you're just like,
meeting that we just had today. But it's okay because she's the founder and like her thoughts don't really matter anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly.
like we ignore everything she says anyway.
I was gonna say that, like, yeah, I'm not the lead of that, so I don't need to be on video. I don't need to.
But I think the rest of the team needs to be on video.
Yes.
Anyway, so, and I think it allows, especially again in a virtual environment, it allows people to feel a little bit more connected because some people might be more introverted, and so it might be a little bit easier to call out if somebody feels, less willing to engage if you can see them.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be like, oh, they're doing something else on their computer.
Right.
Like,
they're not paying attention. Yeah.
So call out the elephants in the room first. Make sure you have the clear agenda. And then I like to write on notes. Like maybe you have a designated note taker, but then my worry, and this is kind of like an anthropological approach to this problem, you should never be taking notes, like typing out notes in a brainstorm. You can be putting things on walls and you can be like writing things down if you were like the team moderator, which is kind of what most of the time my role is, because I knew what I wanted out of the meeting. But don't delegate note taking and summarizing on a member of your team because it prevents their creativity. So either do it yourself or just write like quick notes. Honestly, the best thing to do, and what I'm going to start doing, is using Zoom, because Google Hangouts can't let you record. So in theory, you should just use Zoom or whatever your recording platform. There are a ton of free ones out there, and record the meeting, then go back, watch it, which is probably a good process for you anyways. Yeah. And then send out a Google Doc of the notes so that people can add in, the things they've thought of afterward. Yeah. And then make sure you have a follow-up time. It doesn't have to be the long term, like a long meeting, but make sure you have a follow-up time for people to ask questions and continue to iterate on the brainstorm. Yeah.
Great.
That's my tip.
I really like that. Yeah, it was a great session. And I think a summary, like it was all there were a lot of things flowing. So a succinct summary at the end, it just like pulls it all together. And then because what you were trying to do is get people to do something for the next couple of weeks. So it's a good North Star for them to have that kind of summary of what was decided.
Totally. Cool. Every meeting should have a tagline and an objective.
Yes. I like to say intention in my little woo-woo world. It's what's your intention for the meeting? Thank you very much. Be mindful you love me.
You're my mother.
Your mother and I love each other.
Very different breeds, though.
Very.
All right. So, Erin, let's dive into your topic, which I'm sure more people are excited to hear about, which is personal loans versus credit and credit cards.
Versus credit and credit cards. Yeah, where you can talk both from a business and a personal side, but basically a personal loan is money that is usually loaned to you from a bank. Actually, just recently, someone told me, a friend of mine that I hadn't talked to forever, was like, yeah, you want a loan for your business? I give $20,000 to $25,000 loans out to friends, and they pay me back over time, and I get a 6% return that I can't get at the bank. So I was like, that's an amazing thing. How do you actually see the difference? Is like, how do you make sure they pay you back, right? But anyways,
right, you can't bankrupt your friend, but if it's a trusted enough friend and you have a repayment cycle that's pretty consistent, like right. I'm looking to get into peer-to-peer lending, but on a more tangible repayment cycle.
Yes. Exactly. What I was not sure about is if he made it legal, like if there were legal documents that
you definitely should make it. And honestly, you should go one step further if you want to get into peer-to-peer lending and open up an LLC and just have it go direct into
100%. Yes. Yeah, you do not need to do that personally. Yeah. Yes. Anyways, so the point is, personal loans are direct cash in your account. Mm-hmm. You get, a certain APR. Usually they are lower. It depends on your profile. And nowadays, it used to be a lot of FICO scores. We have a great podcast coming up from one of our allies that is big into the banking world, who is reiterating the fact that FICO scores are not everything. There's a better risk profile that you can have if you actually have people's access to people's data, because you can really see how responsible they are with their bill paying. But that's a different topic. But that is a loan to the bank, and it's cash up front. The difference purely with the credit card is you have a line of credit from this fancy credit card, but you don't have that cash. It is just loaned to you based on what you spend. And then if there's any, usually the APRs are higher, the interest
Right.
is higher on credit cards.
Right.
The one positive thing with credit cards is, of course, you can get the rewards, which if you pay it off every month, then there are benefits to the rewards. If you are racking up a balance and APR is running, then the rewards really don't matter usually because that interest is so high. But it's a kind of cost benefit analysis of what do you need the money for.
Mm-hmm.
If it's for your like personal, like a lot of people, if you have really high interest on a credit card personally, let's say you have $5,000 at a 25% APR, you are just bleeding money. So there is an advantage for you to take that $5,000, get a personal loan from the bank at, let's say, a 10%, 11% APR, take the cash that the bank gives you, pay off the credit card, boof, and then now you're just paying the bank back. So you don't necessarily have that money anymore because you paid it off, but you are now at a much lower interest rate, so you're saving money over time, and then you paid off. So there are just times when each are important.
I have a question.
Yes.
So say you did that method. Say you got a personal loan to pay off your credit card debt,
Yes.
and now you're paying the personal loan. When is it a good time to, okay, let me rephrase this. I would assume in that process, then you are now sticking to a debit card. You don't have a, do you have, like, is it okay to still dabble in the credit space?
Great question.
Or do you wait, pay everything off, and then try and apply for a credit card again, which I imagine is harder because now your credit score is lower?
No, I mean, if you pay it off, there's no reason to close it, right? You could pay off your credit card, pay the $5,000, but you don't have to close the card.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Your credit score gets dinged when you close cards. That doesn't help. So
okay, I don't think people know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh God, have we done one on credit scores yet? Because they are insane.
No, we need to.
Okay.
Let's do a podcast on that.
So noted. Oh yeah, also that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you actually your credit score probably will go up. Yeah, your credit score will probably go up if you do that. If you do that, because what ends up happening is you have more access to credit, the higher credit limit. So if you pay off the credit card, that frees up the $5,000 on the credit over there. You're still getting, you still have debt on the bank side, the other $5,000, but your credit limit is usually higher than what you're maxing out. So the ratio of how much access you have to credit goes up, and then your credit score goes up. We can talk about this later. Anyways, the point is, you're saying, when is it, so if you are in a situation where you're barely able to make the minimum payments, and you're trying to pay off that $5,000, the only benefit to credit cards is literally when you use it for only the expenses that you can afford each month, and you pay it off every month. You do not in full. You do not run a balance. That is the only time a credit card is really worth it for you. I mean, there are other times, like at the beginning of your life cycle as an adult, when you don't have credit, there is some benefit to having a credit card, when you're 18 and still paying off the balance, but having a credit card just to have a credit card so you can pay it off. But otherwise, like, other than building credit when you're young, and other than getting the rewards when you're older, and also, I mean, here's another thing. If you can't access a personal loan, so for example, in our business, like as a business owner, it was not obvious as a startup. It was not obvious that I was going to get a business loan, because business loans take a lot more for you to get, right? You need to put up some collateral. They need to know about your house. They need to see your income. You need to see blah, blah, blah. So but credit cards, it's like, oh yeah, this is how much I make. And they see, are you a breathing human? And they give you a line of credit, right? Like, it's really ridiculous. It's like, okay, and your FICO score. Right. So if you are in a situation where you're a startup, you don't have any income yet, you're not going to actually qualify for a personal loan as a business or business loan, because you don't have any income. So credit cards are if you need to float some money before you can start making money, there's a purpose to be served, but as soon as you can pay it off because they still just get you with the interest.
Right. I'm really excited. The whole, part of the premise for us starting these things in the first place was to develop ideas that people would want to hear about in longer form content, like on the blog, guides, and the podcast.
Yeah.
So look out for maybe a next episode around credit scores, your credit, and your personal finances, because I think that there's something really interesting around that. Erin, thank you for doing the quick and dirty version of it. I think that was very helpful. Let's end the week with some real talk. What's your real talk?
I have I don't know if it's real talk or just stupid Erin action.
We're not perfect all the time.
I'm not perfect. I'm averaging 60%. No, my real talk is
I should have put that on the swag.
I'm averaging 60%. Yeah. But I'm trying my best. So good friends of mine that live near me had this lovely opportunity to live in France, in Paris, for this first semester of school, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And recently came back, but they were part of my carpool routine last year because they lived with us. And our school moved a little bit farther away. So now so the last 4 or 5 months of my life, I've just been in this routine of gotta get the kid, here's my process. I just don't think you do it right. But now they're back and we started this carpool thing again. And I was so smart. I set it up so she would pick up the kid yesterday, but in my default go mode, I also drove to school and I was talking to you, talking to you, a couple minutes late to pick him up. And I saw her, and then I saw my friend leave with my son, realizing that I had driven to school and I didn't need to. So I got in the car. I didn't say anything. I kept talking to you because we got a lot done in that call.
We did.
I jumped back in the car and I beat them home. And no one's the wiser other than you and now all of the internet.
I'm so concerned that you beat them home because you were kind of narrating what was happening on the side, but we were having a really good strategy call. Yeah. And I had this vision of Erin in her black hood, sunglasses on, in the school, dodging visuals of shit, don't see me, shit.
That was close to true, except it was raining, so there were no
you
sunglasses.
wanted to keep talking to me, which was very sweet. Ergo, you did not want your child to see that he could have gone home with mom.
He wouldn't have wanted to either. He's friend time. He's happy.
I love it. That was so great.
The difference is I know the fastest way to get home because I've been doing it longer than she has. She's still figuring out the route. I've got the route now.
She's a new mom. You got a town.
New commuter. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I feel like I can't top your real talk.
Oh my God.
Let's just cut it there and I'll deliver something beautiful.
One next week. Yes, please do one next week.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Bye.